All right, what's this episode about? Happy Monday, folks. What's
Day in
going
the
on?
life of music.
Stuck with it.
I like that
So
title.
have
I think
Are we already at episode?
I was walking
This
my
is the
dog
Monday
one night, and I
series
listened to all four of our phone
of
recordings,
shows that I'm doing. It's not
like back to back.
really a podcast.
And I called you and like, dude, this is the raddest EP ever. We have to do it. And we did. So that was yay for us.
What's going on, folks? Today we're having a conversation with Aaron Beaumont. He's a good friend of mine. We've known each other since our Los Angeles days, my Stereo Fox days. We talk a little bit about that. Ultimately, I was on a phone call with him. We were just catching up because we happen to have a mutual friend we just found out about, and I realized I hadn't talked to the guy in forever, and so we decided to jump on the phone, and while we were doing that, I was like, hey, let's just lay this down and do an interview for this YouTube thing I've got going on. So you get to reap the benefits of that, hear about what he's got going on. He's a fantastic producer, player extraordinaire. I mean, the guy's an amazing songwriter. He's really a great vocalist, but just a very well-rounded piano player, composer, producer. I'm really impressed by what he's got going on. So, thought I'd introduce him to you, and let's see, what else do I have going on? Barkeep, the single that I am promoting right now, it's coming out September 19th. Just got added to a program for Pandora. It's Troubadours, Tunesmiths and Troubadours. I'll post a couple of links to that in social medias. I'll continue to promote that. So definitely pre-save that song. Pre-save all my artist profiles on anywhere you stream music from my website, directly on listentojoshua.com. When you go there, there's a pre-save link for that single, and then right below that, for each network, there's a link that you can click on, and it'll take you right to that DSP, like Spotify, Pandora, wherever, and you can follow me directly from there. So that's great. Just figured that out recently. I hope you enjoy this interview with Aaron Beaumont. He's, like I said, he's fantastic. If you're in the New York area and need someone to work with like him, definitely look him up. AaronBeaumontMusic.com, I think is what it is. I'll confirm that, put it in the links in the description for this episode. Enjoy, and thanks for watching.
I was just talking about this guy, Josh Smith, aka part of Stereo Fox, that I knew way back when we were, wee lads in LA.
That's right. That's right. We were slumming the streets of Los Angeles.
We both went our separate ways out of LA at some point. I guess I don't know when you moved to Nashville, but yeah, it was a shock and a delight when I was working with our, come to find out, mutual friend, Roy. And he mentioned the label he'd been, working with, and someone at the label that he really vibed with and thought was a great guy. And you all live near each other. He kept referring to it Joshua Caleb Smith, and I was like, huh, all right. And then he pulled your Facebook up in my kitchen, and I was like, wait, what?
Oh, that's the
record scratch. Yeah.
You're like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, that guy. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I thought I got rid of that guy.
Yeah, right.
That's funny, dude. Yeah,
managed to avoid being in touch with that guy for over a decade,
Yeah. How do you know? So how do you know Roy?
So Roy, I actually have known longer than I've known you, because I lived in Nashville very briefly before I moved to LA, like in 2007.
Right.
Most of 2007, I left. The end of 2007, my mom got sick. I just, in a rush, moved back to Madison, Wisconsin, basically. But that whole year prior, I was living in Nashville, recorded a record, and I was mutual friends with Roy's. I had other friends from my past, from college and stuff, who connected me with Roy's sister-in-law, Yomari.
Okay.
So Wendy's sister.
Yeah.
And so I just fell in with that whole group. Roy was around. I mean, Roy was on the road a lot with his band, and I got to be really good buddies with one of Roy's best friends, who I don't know if they grew up together in South Texas. I think their connection was in New Orleans, I want to say. But anyway, our mutual friend Meshach Jackson, who I've worked a lot with since then, Roy introduced me to Meshach. So Roy and I had been in touch periodically, mostly via Mishak. Like I saw him a couple times when he came through New York after I moved to New York, and
Yeah.
and also in LA, because Mishak also lived in both of those places, and we roomed together even briefly. And then Roy and I reconnected at Mishak's wedding in March, just the end of this last, you know, March,
Yeah.
and we were a part of Mishak's like all-star wedding band that he brought together just a bunch of his old music buds from all over the country,
Yeah.
and we played for 7 hours that on his wedding day. I think
Oh,
probably
wow.
we
That's
had like a
awesome.
6 hour rehearsal the day before. Anyway, it was a
Yeah.
lot of quality time, and Roy and I just had some great hangs that weekend, and got this harebrained idea of I'm always trying to lure music friends or just friends in general up to our spot in Maine in the woods, because I
Mhm.
just I mean I go up there as much as I can, and so I invite a lot of like my good friends and favorite people and people that I would love to make stuff with or whatever, and some of them come. Not many of them actually come, because it's like, it's a big commitment, a big ask. And so it came up when Roy and I were talking. I was like, yeah, man, you should just come up to Maine. Let's like, work
Yeah.
on some stuff. And then he
Yeah.
actually did. So he came up in 2 months after we reconnected at Meshach's wedding. He came up with the whole fam
That's awesome.
toward the end of June. Yeah.
So you guys were
Um,
working up there, or was that? I thought it was a birthday or something.
it was all that. Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of work. He was there for just a couple of days, actually, as it turned out. And we mostly, we went to the beach. We did all the like fun Maine stuff.
Yeah.
And then we spent an incredibly productive, afternoon, basically just knocking out a bunch of new ideas
Yeah.
for
Cool.
his ambient soul project. And yeah, and it was a beautiful, yeah, beautiful couple days, really nice vibe. I mean, I love being up there. It's the opposite of, not the opposite, not like the spiritual opposite of where I live, which is Brooklyn, Bushwick, Ridgewood,
Yeah.
the rest of the time when I'm not in Maine. But it's there's a lot of like, they kind of like feed each other in a lot of ways. I enjoy the contrast between them, but yeah, I love. I didn't grow up in a city, and I've lived in cities since
Right.
I moved to Nashville, and Nashville, and then LA for 6 years, and now New York for 11.
Yeah. You bounced
So
around. Well, so if it's 11 years, then you moved out of LA after I did, right?
2014.
Yeah. So because I was gone in late 2012, and then kind of back
You
and
left
forth
in
in
late
early
2012?
2013 between LA and New York.
Wow. I guess I didn't realize you left LA before I did for some reason.
I was in and out quite a
Yeah.
bit those first like 2 years. So we probably
We
ran
were
into
still
each other.
texting in 2012, 2013, because I looked back at that conversation.
I know you sent me
Those
the
were the
screenshot.
last texts.
I often I don't I realized actually for whatever reason I was looking through like iCloud storage or something. I was like, why is my storage all backed up? And I guess I at some point had ticked the never delete any messages button.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
try to like purge once a year. It's like a piece of clothing. If you haven't looked at it in a year, you don't
Yeah.
need it. Like,
I'm
there's a
I'm
few.
on
There's a few
board
very small.
with
There's a few exceptions to that. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a hoarder, but I'm very nostalgic, so I don't get rid of the stuff that I don't get rid of is like texts and
yeah,
letters and anything that I don't know. I mean, that stuff, I just think of it as like a diary. I want to be able to pick pictures, whatever. Clothing to a lesser degree. I don't keep a lot of clothing, but you know, I mean, you can't like moving to New York.
yeah,
Not that, I mean, nobody has like tons and tons of space in LA either if you're just in an LA apartment, but especially like moving to New York, like you just cannot hang on to things,
yeah.
It's you gotta release the things.
Let it go. Yeah,
Let the things release you.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I was a transient for so long. I thought I was a minimalist, but now that I've been like nested for a while, dude, I have so much
It creeps.
stuff.
It creeps on you.
But it's all gear. Like
Yeah.
this looks clean behind me because I just finished like moving that wall back. I just doubled the size of this room,
Uh-huh.
and it's all just hidden away. There's a black curtain back here. That's
Yeah.
just chocked full of stuff. And then my
Yeah.
garage, I had to put an AC unit in my garage and a dehumidifier so that my gear doesn't rust out there because that's where I'm storing, so much of it. But yeah, anyway, you have to purge every once in a while. Got to get rid of it, change the wardrobe.
Feels good.
Feels
It feels
good.
good.
It feels good when it happens, 100%. So, so, um, so you've known Roy. Okay, that's
Since
interesting.
2007. I mean,
Yeah,
it was probably actually the tail end of 2006, I want to say, because I remember talking to Roy. I remember soliciting fashion advice because I really liked Roy's vibe and Wendy's vibe. They seemed very like chic and fashionable. So before I
yeah,
did a photo shoot for my one and only actual solo record, I put out a bunch of singles and, stuff under an artist project after that. But like, I remember showing them some looks, and that would have been like January 2007, or just like maybe the tail end of December.
was
Yeah, so
that
it's
the
coming up on
record?
20 years.
Was that the record? I think you gave me a record that you'd recorded in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great record. I used to listen to that thing all the time, man. I think it's on
Thanks, dude.
CD, so I don't. I don't even think I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you where a CD player is besides my car right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was that record called?
Nothing's forever, not even goodbye.
That's right.
I haven't listened to that in probably a decade. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, it's a fantastic record. I remember loving that thing. You saying that
Thanks,
triggered the
Buffy.
memory of a few of those songs too. Yeah. Well, so what are you working on now? What are you doing now?
So basically, since I LA, I left. I had started collaborating on, when I was in LA, like doing some film scoring, and I there was a musical that I wrote. I did the music and lyrics that my friend Peter Ruby wrote the book for, and we were developing that for a few years. So we came out to New York in 2014 to put it up, and that was officially my excuse. That's how I landed here. I just stayed. Everybody else like
Yeah.
went back to LA
Yeah.
after that production, and I stayed. I guess at the time, I was involved in developing a couple of other musicals, but through a weird, essentially I showed up in New York and I didn't have like my crew, like I had a band and stuff
Yeah.
in LA, and people that I was making music with,
Sure.
like in person, like band in the room, like very
Yeah.
organic, piano and old time sort of like throwback, um, 60s and 70s pop, soul, R&B.
Yeah, you had that like jazz project or something for a little bit with somebody. There was like a duet thing.
Yeah, so that's that band with Emma, and it wound up being like pretty a lot more like soul funk,
Mm.
like horns and
Yeah.
pop. So it was pop at the end of the day, but so anyway, I landed in New York and I didn't have that whole network of friends, and I just started making stuff on my own, and got into production, like computer music, and then I did a lot of that just on the side in the first year or two that I was here, and started producing my own stuff and producing a little bit for other people. And then I started working with these guys named the Gregory Brothers and Shmo Yoho, who have had a big YouTube presence as like in the comedy parody world, and are all really incredible musicians, singers, multi-instrumentalists, producers, and yeah, so I still work with them. I mean, we're going on 10 years here
Oh wow.
in the beginning of it was January 2016 when I started working with them, and that was really like my sort of like baptism by fire in the production and mixing realm. So I mean, we were doing like hundreds of tracks for them, for other people, just at a really rapid pace. So that basically, you know, um, led to me working full time since then as a producer and mix engineer and composer. I still do some film stuff. I'm working on a really cool film project right now, that will have some uh, live scored premieres later this year. But so I'll be involved in
That's
the
awesome.
live part of that. Uh,
What type of film projects are you working on, and how are you doing that?
well, I mean, it's all across the board. Like some of it has been with the Gregories because they get hired to do a lot of other,
Right.
some commercial stuff, some longer form, um, you know, longer form, like more epic in scope content. Like we did one with someone named Markiplier a couple of years ago that was a like choose your own adventure.
Hmm.
Um, and so anyway, the score was a wide variety of vibes and some big like orchestral stuff. And that one got nominated for an Emmy actually, or I'm trying to remember. So 2020, end of 22, 2023 maybe. Um, and yeah, I've done a bunch of like shorts. I've done some. There are a couple of features that I think are probably going to come through in the next year. I mean, the end of this year, beginning of next. And this particular project that I'm starting literally like next week is with this brand called Armada Skis. So they've um, spent the last few years. They have like an incredible pro ski team and a lot of the high flying, like X Games and Olympic medalists.
Oh, cool.
And anyway, so they've shot this really incredible film all over the world, like helicoptering in all these
Oh
exotic
yeah.
locations,
Yeah.
and it looks amazing. And so there's like a narrative element to it, and they want it to be kind of like a more elevated like chamber orchestral, with also some beat driven and jazz. And so um, my friend Nicholas Zork, who I work with a lot, um, he's a great songwriter and instrumentalist. And then our mutual friend Joe Block, who is an incredible um, jazz pianist, one of the best. He
Nice.
plays with Wynton Marsalis, and he has a lot of. He's like 15 years old. I mean, he's not actually 15, but I think he's like 25 or 26. So he's like a kid
He's a
in
baby.
some
Yeah.
ways, but then he's
Totally.
just like an
Got it.
absolute virtuoso. We just went to see him at Disney's a couple days ago at Lincoln Center. Um, and so he and Nick will be involved in the composing and probably more involved in MDing the chamber ensemble. And yeah, we're doing premieres with a chamber group in LA, Park City, New York, and Innsbruck, Austria, which is where Armada is based. October, November. So another composer, Ben Blissingen, and I are primarily doing the recorded, you know, composing the recorded score and
Yeah. Yeah.
producing that. Um, and yeah, but mostly what I do is songs and mostly pop. So I mean, I'm working with a lot of different artists and still making things with the Gregories. And when I have time, I have a ton of my own stuff lying around that I'll sometimes, if there's some low hanging fruit that's like
Yeah.
less than a day to finish, then I've put a few things out
Yeah.
over the last couple of years too under the name Snowshoes. And I think I put one or two things out under my own name, and some of the uh, recorded scores and things like that, like soundtracks, I'll put out under my own name. But
Yeah.
but
You said it's called No Shoes. Is the
no,
alias
Snowshoes.
Snowshoes?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
which came to me as I was snowshoeing in Maine, and I was like, I love snowshoeing. I'm not like I'm not a poser. I like it's. I
Yeah,
come by it honestly, and I
it's a
was
real
like, oh,
thing.
snowshoes. I don't think
I
this
can
is
do that.
snowshoes.
I know what these
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Um,
I like the
yeah.
name. I well, that's kind of funny because that's like going back to the Roy connection. How we know each other through that ambient label.
Mhm.
I have. I mean, it's hard to keep count because they've changed. I hate it when it does that. Do you see that little thumbs up? Like, hi.
It never works for me. I try to do that. I don't know. There must be a
Yeah.
setting that I have not.
I'm not trying, but it does it all the time. Um, anyway,
That happened on a call with Armada a couple days ago when one of the other composers um, had a really like dramatic moment in the call, made some gesture. When it was Ben, and
yeah,
all of a sudden his whole screen filled with like fireworks or something. It was just like perfect timing,
well timed.
and he wasn't trying to do it. It was just like,
Right. Yeah, just
yeah, it was.
how the hell did that happen? Kind of destroyed the mood, but also was supportive. Um,
Mhm.
well, so I have, what I was saying is I have like 3 or 4 Darmanand, Piano Libre, Meditation Muse, are the artist aliases that I release under with this ambient label. And I was one of their first artists, which is why I ended up taking it over because we just have a long working relationship. I worked with them before they were 800 Pound Gorilla Media. 800 Pound Gorilla Records at the time, they're the company that releases now and helps to collect royalties for a lot of comedians because royalties,
Yeah,
there's no PRO for them.
yeah.
So like, anyway, so they figured that out and we were doing this ambient music just as a side project for fun. And it really kind of taken off. So I was like, "Hey, man, if you guys aren't gonna do this anymore, let me have it, and I'll run with it. We'll see what happens." So
Yeah.
it's sort of yeah. And I wanted to pick up on all my own releases and just start doing a lot more music again myself. So that's what really the only thing I was doing because I told you I got into real estate and other businesses and investing and everything else for feels like an eternity because I wasn't playing a whole lot of music, and when I was, it was like that tangential other stuff outside of the midnight drunken I'm gonna do this song right now thing that I would do from often enough. But yeah, I very quickly learned that for me, like in stepping away from putting it in the back seat, my wife is like, if you don't start playing music again soon, like we have problems now, but like
Yeah.
it's gonna get
Should
worse.
do it for her sake,
For her, she's like, for
not for
my
you.
sake,
It's
could
for
you
her. Yeah.
please fill
Yeah.
this void in yourself? So yeah, so I kind of had to get back into it, but yeah, so that label's a good, it was a good sort of launching pad. And do you know Shane Alexander?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, you came up on a call with him. Boy, when did we chatted? When was that? We check in. I actually can't remember when that was now. He left me a really sweet happy birthday voicemail. But we were working on, a couple of tunes just randomly, and
yeah,
he mentioned you the last time we were on.
that's awesome. Yeah, so he probably told you about our project. We've got. I'm finally going to be putting that thing out. I'm actually working on a cut of. It's turned into a documentary, but it's basically like the 3 days that we tracked this record. It was only going to be 2 days. It ended up becoming 3 days because I completely lost my voice the day that I was singing everything. The second day, I guess he would have been 2 at the time. My baby, my smallest one, was coughing right in my face for days leading up to it.
No.
I'm like, I mean. I don't know. I started taking oil of oregano. I was like, if I'm going to get sick, I'm going to get sick. I can't change these dates. If I have to like send him my vocals after the
This
fact.
was tracking out at Budaland, or
Yeah.
what were you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
cool.
flew out there and we, Darren Johnson on the keys, Rob Humphreys on the drums,
Oh, yeah.
and then Taraz. Do you know Taraz Pradaniak?
I don't know. I don't think I do.
Or Pradaniak? He's bass player. I mean, he and Shane have worked together on a bunch of projects, but he played for like Dwight Yoakam and Lucinda Williams and a bunch of other people. Just one of
Rob
those.
was our boy with our old band, the Mo Nouveau. He was our drummer.
Who's
He
that?
was
Rob? Yeah.
Yeah. He's the best. I love Rob.
Dude, he's great.
Best dude, and obviously, just like A+ drummer.
Yeah, killer player. Yeah, so super easy band. We knocked out 4 songs in a day, and then I went in and did most of my overdubs, and then we had to like really piecemeal the last one together because I sang one of the songs on the third day, like totally lost voice. But he did a couple of these so I could introduce people to his stuff and that record, but then also kind of promote these songs that we've got coming out. So that's going to be my foray back in. Those are going to be the next ones that I release. Those 4, and then I have a stack of like 200 songs that need to go out. So
oh my goodness!
yeah,
So you've been writing. You've been writing the whole time. It sounds like, but just not recording it, not releasing it.
Not recording, releasing, and really like I took at least a year and a half from, definitely longer than that from performing, but like I didn't play hardly at all for about a year and a half, and that was like, I felt like a limb was missing at a certain point.
I mean, I totally hear that. Having seen you perform, I can't imagine you not being on stage regularly. Like, I remember those Stereo Fox shows at what was the venue? I remember Bill Withers was sitting behind me for one of them. What was the name of that spot? It was like on Santa Monica or something, right?
It was on Melrose.
Oh, Melrose.
The M Bar or something like that.
Was it M Bar? Yeah, maybe that's.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, that was a connection through Darren because I think it was. Maybe it was just a random coincidence, but like Darren was playing keys for Corey Withers, for Bill's daughter. Mm-hmm. And somehow we ended up opening for her. And so Darren played like with both bands, because he was sitting in for us from time to time when we needed keys, especially if he could be there. And he was already there for Corey's band. That was a fun night, dude. We got to meet and sit and hang out with Bill Withers. And I forgot that you were there, dude. Yeah. I'm surprised that we haven't talked since 2012.
I know. Because looking back at those texts, I was like, oh, we were homies. Like we hung out a lot. Like it's just
we really did.
It feels like such another era. I'm still in touch with some friends from when I lived in LA, but almost none of them still live there, and I haven't seen, many of them in a long time, unless they come through New York. Like Nick Bearden used to come through New York somewhat regularly, with his band, and
he's here.
And I haven't been down to. I saw him last time I was in Nashville, but that's been 6 or 7 years, I think, at least.
Yeah. So, well, next time you come, you're staying with us, man. I've got a nice private guest room.
Dude, I would love that.
Private bath. Yeah. We got a 30-foot round above ground pool. It's like a bathtub out there right now.
Oh my goodness.
It's 100 degrees and
I would love to go sit in some water right now, actually.
Yeah. But it's nice. It makes for a great night swim.
my wife had some really good friends. My wife, actually, who I met through the musical in LA, and then we settled out here together. A couple of her very best friends live in Nashville, and she's been there more recently than I have, just for work. But yeah, we have a lot of excuses to visit, and it's just it hasn't happened since before the pandemic for me.
I mean, we're all in our primes, getting it done, working our asses off, trying to keep up. I get it. Well, I want to come back to New York too. I haven't been in a minute. Last time I was there, was that the last time I was there? It would have been 2012, 13, maybe some of 14, because Darren and Andrea lived in Brooklyn, or they lived in Greenwich Village. And so I was there working with them on some stuff. And I think they were there for at least, you guys may have overlapped a little bit, because you said you moved there like 2014.
Yeah.
So you may have overlapped a little bit. But you know who else is up there? The Carneys moved up. Do you know Reeve and Zane Carney?
We met at some point. I actually, when I got here, we did a residency with, my old band, the Motorboat, which turned into a trio with Emma and my now wife. And we did a bunch of shows. Like the first year or two, I think Emma was living here part-time, for a couple of years, and then we all just got spread out. And so like the only thing we wound up doing was this one festival. And do you know Jason Mans? I'm like diverging here, but
I don't know.
Our mutual friend Jason Mans has a festival in mutual friend like Jason with all the other people that I, just mentioned from LA. I know him from LA.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Monobo would play these festivals in a festival in Germany like once a year, and that was the extent of our gigging while the festival still.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hadn't played played out either, like, much since moving here. It's been few and far between. But
yeah. I was gigging for the first 5 or 6 years, and then, like I said, I took a whole bunch of time off. I want to get back into it, but I'll be honest, I don't know how you felt when you lived in Nashville, but I kind of hate playing here. You just feel like it's
that's the stereotype. It's just the people with the crossed arms, and I love Nashville and I love Nashville, but everyone approaches it. Everyone's like a student of the of what's happening. So
it's really hard. Well, and it's also, I think it's really hard to appreciate live music when it's happening 9 days a week, all day and all night, and so it's the people that come here are thirsty for it, but it's really hard to find those people in like neighborhood scenes because they just don't know. They're staying downtown. And I avoid downtown like the plague because I just don't want to get trapped down there. And
you're not like out on Lower Broad on one of those little like 6x6 stages or whatever.
I don't want to. Yeah, the last thing I want is someone, and I'm not even going to name any names. I wouldn't know any names to name, but like someone throwing out the latest, country rap song they want me to do. I'm like, that's just not me. My cover songs, I don't think there's anything post yacht rock that I want to cover.
Yeah.
It's all, old R&B and blues and jazz and fun stuff, but not, Yeah.
I was going to say, before I diverged into the playing out, the whole point of the mentioned residency was the drummer that we played with for most of those was John Epcar. I don't know if you know him from Nashville. He's in Nashville now, but he was the drummer with the Carnies.
Oh yeah.
In their band.
Yeah, I know. Is he in Nashville now?
I think I believe so. Okay. Yeah.
I'd love to meet him again. I've only met him a couple of times, but I'd love to meet him again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my. I think we met him through Rob Humphreys originally.
Sure, probably
because they were buddies. But I think that was the only time I met the Carnies was through him. I don't know them well.
Yeah,
I don't really know them at all. I think we just maybe met around that time.
They've come through, or Zane came through and played a show and reached out to me, and so I went and hung out with him, and then Reeve just happened to be in Kentucky. I guess their grandma, some of their family lives in Kentucky, someone. So he happened to be up there, and he just took the drive, an hour and a half down to come and hang out with us that night. It's probably the last time I saw them. Well, I've seen Zane since then. But yeah, I only bring it up because Reeve's up there full time doing a ton of great stuff. He's been, it was started with Spider-Man, which Zane did the music for, and then he got into what's that play? The Orpheus. Is it Orpheus? It's the.
It's Hades Town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So he did that run for a long time.
I've seen his name around on a couple of shows, but I haven't actually gotten to see. I don't think I've actually seen him in anything. I go out to, I was literally just actually talking to a buddy last night. I had dinner with a friend who's just been going to Broadway shows like a fiend, and I go from time to time, but mostly I mostly go to my friends' shows.
Yeah.
So, sometimes that's theater, experimental theater. Sometimes it's Broadway, or whatever. Like we just went to see Joe play. Actually, the last Broadway show I saw was the play that Joe Block, our piano buddy, was the pianist for.
Okay.
The Good Night, Good Luck play with the one with George Clooney. And
that's
so
cool.
That was the last one that I saw, which was end of May, I guess. But it's like I'll go to 3 or 4 a year, and usually if I have a buddy that's performing, that's kind of the main reason I go to. I mean, you know how it is. It's like you get hit, like your friends are playing every night, so it's like,
Do you remember? Do you remember, I mean, to that point, do you remember the Green Door and like Sayers Club?
Oh,
Did you know
wow.
Jason and those guys that promoted all that?
Man, I forgot about that stuff. Yeah. Wild.
Well, I bring it up because Jason lives here now and opened a club called the Electric Jane. And I've only been there like 3 or 4 times, but I've gone to that club more than any other place in Nashville in the last few years. Because, I mean, there are some clubs that I actually want to play, and I do need to get out and go do stuff. But, I mean, when you have small kids, like my schedule these days is I get up between 4 and 5 in the morning
Oh
so
my
I
goodness.
can work out and stretch.
So we're getting to your bedtime here.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty,
Well, no, I'm
pretty
not going to
soon.
bed
You've been up
until
for
10 or 11
12
o'clock at
hours.
night.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, like I'm not sleeping. I
You got
should.
to do something about that, man.
Yeah. I've been sleeping
I know it's
more.
tough.
But yeah, I just like, I mean, at least for me, my experience was when we had kids, I was so not prepared for it. And there's no way to prepare, but like,
Yeah.
I was way underprepared. Thank God I have a wife who, went like, and it's fine. Like, yeah,
Really
like, as
embraced it.
soon as I saw the baby, I was like, oh, I picked him up and I was like, okay, I can totally do this. But
Yeah.
the thing was that, like, in order to really focus on that and try to be the best I could be, I just pushed a lot of things off to the wayside. And
Yeah.
so yeah, like I've not been in the mode of going out, networking,
Sure. Of course.
doing anything.
Yeah. I mean, that tracks with, all my friends here with kids.
Yeah.
I mean, my buddy Nick, for example, best friend in town, he'll come out to anything if he can possibly like ever make it happen. Like he goes out probably more than I do. And so it's not like it's not possible, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, most of the people that I know who have kids basically just say that you just become a superhero with your time management, and like,
Yeah.
you accomplish more in an hour than you used to be able to finish in like a week,
I
in
mean,
one free hour. It's like, it just,
yeah.
I'm interested, Amanda and I have talked about we're still not like, we haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing conversation. And we're both kind of in a similar place where I would describe us as, more or less ambivalent, but like curious, like
Yeah.
kind of feel like we will have wished that we,
Sure.
in 30 years or whatever, we'll wish that we had kids, but,
Yeah.
but neither of us have ever been like, the type that is just like, I must, do this thing. Or I've always just been kind of like,
Yeah.
it's a situational thing. It's like,
Yeah.
if the conditions are perfect or whatever, and I know that they never are, so that's probably why we have still not had
Yeah.
children. But I am curious about it, and so like we talk to our friends who have kids, and
Yeah.
and I am interested in the kind of like the clarity and that sort of focus that they describe of being like, it's basically just like you trim
Yeah.
all of the things in your life away, cut back all of the fat or whatever, like
You know,
all of the things that could possibly, it really just kind of like gives you this laser focus
yeah.
on how to
It's
spend your time, what endeavors are like, good to pursue, and blah blah.
well, I mean, yeah, it took me about 6 years being a dad to finally begin to do that. It is a byproduct of parenting, but I was still just as chaotic and all over the place and ADD as I've ever
Yeah.
been with kids until finally one day I was like, I gotta figure this out. And I was killing my body because I was staying up late and waking up early and not stretching or doing anything.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but I will say, so that hyper focus, it is a byproduct, but it's also very much a choice. You have to,
Sure.
there's a couple of great things that I've learned. There's a joke that I saw some comedian. Of course, it's in my algorithm because I'm a dad. But it was a joke about, if you're a dad and you don't have a dad pod, you're probably not a good dad because there's not enough time
Yeah.
for both.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've had to learn. It took a long time, but I've committed to it for about the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Coming up to 2 years now, that if I don't, just like with music, if I don't do some physical activity, my body gets wrecked,
Oh man,
And
100%. I missed it instantly. I mean, I've been pretty consistent, for years and years of just doing something.
yeah,
Like, and the reason for that is that I have one of those scenarios where, like, if I stop doing that, all of a sudden I have like a lot of upper back and neck stuff, and just like
yeah,
I know it instantly. Like, I get
yeah,
a weird aches, like
yeah.
when I'm playing, and that only happens if I'm not, moving and taking
Physical
care of myself.
activity. Yeah.
And the flip side of that is that, like, man, I mean, just being on a some sort of regimen where it's really like kind of become the thing. I've realized the thing that I prioritize the most the last couple of years. Like, it's kind of the one non-negotiable, of just like doing something, moving, working out, some hit or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of makes everything easier. Everything else in life,
Yeah.
running up the stairs in the subway and running around with a backpack on, and just all the other stuff that you have to do just to, like, exist in New York, which is just a
Yeah.
tough place to be to begin with.
Yeah.
It's just like becomes a lot easier if you are ticking that box like 15, 20 minutes a day, or just whatever
Yeah.
little bite-sized pieces you can get in.
Yeah, and so to marry those two ideas together, you know what happens if you don't. So pair that with, like, another person worth of responsibility, and then all of a sudden, like, that's a thing you have to do, but you really do have to consciously make a choice. I'm not a morning person. My wife thinks I am because I've always gotten up before her. But like, that used to be 8 o'clock in the morning, not 4.
Yeah.
I only started
Yeah.
doing that again, like, in the last 2 years, because I realized I had to. I used to meditate every single day, and I stopped for like a good 7 or 8 years, and
Yeah.
once I started again, it started to really help with everything. But yeah, so kids help for that, but I think it still is very much just like a choice on how you're gonna
Sure,
do
of course.
that. But like, the other thing I was going to say that I thought about this, there's an entertainment lawyer here, and he's kind of a manager, just a guy that I used to meet and have drinks with from time to time. We'd have a glass of wine. Gary Webb. He's a lot older than me. Never had kids, but been married since he was like a teenager. I think they met when they were 17, 18 or something. And he knew me back when I was trying to figure out what direction I was going to go. Because, like, when Ginger and I met, I wasn't sure if I ever wanted to get married, have kids, do any of it. I was completely jaded by all of those relationships that I had in Los Angeles, specifically like Hollywood dating scene problems.
Sure.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
like,
you were out there, like, on stage doing the like, sexy R&B crooning stuff. I mean, you definitely. I don't want to get you in any trouble, but could have had your pick of the litter, like, so to speak.
I appreciate that.
Seemingly, I was at those shows, and there
That's
was always
hysterical.
like a gaggle of beautiful,
That's funny.
eligible bachelorettes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had
That
my
was
fun.
your
but
burden to bear. I did not have that issue myself.
It's just a genre problem. No, yeah, well, I mean, to extend on that, once I was like in this committed relationship long term, we've been together for a few years. I was like, I got to shit or get off the pot. I got to figure this out. I was talking to Gary about it one night, and he said, Josh, you just have to ask yourself the question, like, could you see yourself not being with her when you're older? Like, could you see yourself not being with that person? And I was like, well, I mean, I'd like to be with her. Yeah, not really. Like, I'd love that. And he said, well, if you could see yourself being with her, then it's the answer is yes. But if it's ever a no, then it's a no. Like, if it's a maybe, it's probably a no. And those two ideas I've kind of taken with me from that. Literally the next day, I bought a ring and ended up booking a trip to Europe and proposed. Not long after that, because I was like, yeah, he's totally right. You just gotta, like, when you know the direction, the only thing that's keeping you is just whatever's going on up here. So yeah, when it comes to big life decisions, that's how I try to approach it. Is if I can see myself down the road without it, then I can probably live without it. But if
like
not, Yeah.
It's either an F yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're
You can. Yeah. I don't care.
yeah. I'll keep it friendly. I'll keep it friendly in case my nieces watch this. Whatever. It's either an
Yeah.
F yes or it's a no.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, if it's not a yes, then it's a no, ultimately, even if it's like a slight, yeah, probably it's a no, but yeah, yeah, as long as there's a maybe, then the answer is probably no, and that's fine. You just have to like, that's how you pick your paths. At least that's how I do it. And I guess that is
Yeah,
one
I
thing
mean,
that having kids has helped me out a lot with, is like making quicker decisions about,
yeah.
not procrastinating. No.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good filtering mechanism. I will say I have encountered some surprises where, there were things that I was like, let's just see what happens. Like, I don't know what, where you don't, it's not like it doesn't look, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Or happy, happenstance, happy accidents where,
Yeah.
something comes together in a way that you just never would have. I mean, that has definitely been the story of like, a lot of projects that I've been involved in where to start out with, I mean, like the musical, for instance, it was like a very, kind of tenuous thing. We were like, okay, it's just going to be this little song cycle. And then, one thing leads to the next. And, next thing you know, like all these things are happening around it and you have all this opportunity and stuff. And so it's, I will say like, what we do is just a wild ride generally, and it's kind of a silly thing to do on a lot of levels. It's like, it's not a pragmatic choice,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like serves us in some need that
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely, for me, my experience has just been, it's hard to see the end from the beginning. And so,
Yeah. That's a good point.
my approach has been as just a curious person who genuinely enjoys kind of like whatever the work is at hand. I
Yeah,
love
the
the process
process.
of making stuff.
Yeah.
So, whatever the outcome is or whatever, I'm like curious enough, and also just kind of like, I guess, easygoing enough that it's like, I'm usually interested in if there's an opportunity, or I mean, I say yes to most things, that I get the opportunity to do, unless, with the exception being if I don't feel like I'll do a good job. If it's something that I just don't think is I'm the right person for, like I don't want to do something that I don't think I will do well, and that I don't,
Sure.
on some level feel like I'll knock out of the park. Like I will only, but you know how it is. It's like, even in those scenarios, you're like, you can have all the self-confidence in the world, but you can't predict,
Yeah.
you can never predict the outcome, which is what
No.
keeps us coming back for more, on some level. It's like,
Yeah, no, going back to my weekend, I booked 2 days to track that record in LA, but I mean, I can't predict my kid bringing home whatever, death
Yeah.
wish he brought home from daycare, that we're all going to catch and have to
Yeah.
ride that train into the ground for the next 2 weeks. That's, God, kids getting sick and bringing that shit home. That's too much. It's
Yes.
like oil of oregano it works. I don't know if you've gotten into, like, ever heard of
I've
that?
used it a couple of years ago. Yeah, I definitely had some and tried it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Few.
I don't travel without it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot it on that trip. I was taking it up until I left, and then I didn't have any in my bag when I got there. But it does help. It's like a natural antibiotic or whatever it is, antiviral thing, and it's always worked for anything that I have, and kept me out of the doctor's office on many occasions when I've had to bring the kids in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have any real dad wisdom. I just have memories of traumatic events. I think, it's a personal choice for everybody. And, as much as the current administration would have you think that everybody should be having as many kids as possible, I think that that's a personal choice. You shouldn't just go for the money.
I think, I mean, I've definitely sensed, the tides turning just during our lifetime, where it was definitely coming up a foregone conclusion that everyone was going to have, everyone has a kid, at some point. But, I think that's definitely changed. And I mean, maybe that's just me having mostly lived in New York and LA. It's just like stereotypical.
Maybe.
I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's like, I just feel like it is a different, it's a different sort of set of factors that people are taking into account. And,
100%.
it's not a given that anyone will have. And in some ways, it's almost like seeming like more and more of the exception to the rule, that people, or at least later and later, so, but, we'll see. That's what I've been saying for years and years now. So we'll see.
I mean, at a certain point, it's better. Like, there's bodily risks for her, but it's,
of course.
I heard that like the chances double for problems with the baby, but we're talking about, and again, this is like third party information. I have no idea. It's like a podcast where I heard this, but like it's a 0.01 chance that there's going to be an issue. So twice the risk is 0.02. So how much risk is there really over 40? So there's, I don't know. It is a person to person thing. Ginger had Sterling when she was 41. I think he just turned 4. She's 40. Yeah. So no problems. I mean, he's a second born child, and all the memes are true.
As am I.
But I think you'd be a good dad, man. I'm not trying to encourage you at all. It's just obviously it's a big part of my life now. So, and
I feel like I would really lean into it. Like I don't like, half-ass things just generally in my life. And I also feel like New York has brought more of that out of me, because I think that it's a very, by nature, just, everyone is hustling. Everyone's focused. Everyone's kind of like here on purpose, like has a reason to be here and doing what they're doing and whatever. So I think that, I mean, I'm not trying to say that that's going to make me a better father or not, but I do feel like, I would embrace it. And, ultimately, like, I think Amanda could very easily, if she wanted to commit to it, very easily convince. Like I will follow her lead.
Yeah. Well, it's up to her at the end of the day. It's her body. So, I get all of that. I would say I probably felt the same before. Although I can say, one of my, I don't know if I should say this in the podcast either, but I've said it at a show live before, so I may as well. I've got 2 kids and a vasectomy on the way. Like, I'm done. I am.
Yeah, sure, totally. Yeah, no, I think I talked to Shane about this a few years ago because he had just one daughter.
Yeah.
And Amanda doesn't have any siblings, and so we've talked to some of our friends who only, have had one child. And I think it would definitely be one for us. Although we both do have twins. Her grandma was a twin and my grandma was also a twin. So it's like and she and her 2 best friends also both had twins at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So,
dude, you're in trouble.
If that happened, whatever. Yeah. I mean, obviously no complaints about it.
Right. Obviously it would be fine. But I would say like one child is one-on-one, but 2 kids is 2-on-1. And it's, you're outnumbered anytime you're a single parenting and then, or solo parenting. And then, a buddy of mine also put it to me like this: if there's, 2 children it's not 2, it's this. Like, there's a lot more people running around than you can keep up with at all times, when they're little especially. And boys are just harder at the age that mine are at than girls are at that age, which I find out every time somebody with girls comes over to my house that's absolutely true. But at the same time, like, I mean, my kids are great. They're just, they can be a handful, a lot of energy.
No, and I mean, we've been around my nieces a lot. They live up in Maine. My sister is 2 doors down from our place up there. And we go up there and hang out with them as much as we can, and have been very much around as they're growing up there. They're, 14, 14 and 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I do see both sides, because they're, such close friends, obviously, just
Yeah.
best friends. And,
Yeah.
obviously there's some tension here and there or whatever, but they're also just, wonderful kids, and we love being around them. And certainly um, you know, a convincing argument to have kids, I feel like. But,
Yeah.
with any, it's like there's a trade-off for
Yeah.
anything,
All of it.
any
Yeah.
any decision in your life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway,
No. Well, and I think that, I guess, to wrap that whole point up, like the big question is, how does having kids impact like doing this kind of work? I mean, I already told you, like for me, I kind of let it take a back seat and just did like you know, not a real job. I still worked for myself, but
yeah,
just found other ways to get to like actually stay home. Like touring is a
yeah,
lot harder with kids. That's something I talked to
hmm
Shane and Darren. Darren has a daughter.
hmm
They were pregnant 2013. I think she's 11 now, 14.
hmm
Um, and yeah, and that was, I remember us talking about it when Andrea was pregnant. Darren was like, yeah, I gotta get off the road, man. Like, I don't know how I'll
yeah,
make the money I make touring just sitting at home making music, but I gotta try, and he's running all the music for this podcast company and doing sound design and all kinds of interesting stuff. We got into some advertising and doing some music for film back then. But yeah, man, it's especially now trying to get back into it. They're not limitations, but challenges, and that's where that byproduct of focus. That's where that comes in, because it's either have very serious and direct intention to get it done, or just go get a day job, wait tables, whatever you got to do, just so
yeah.
you can have the headspace with your kids, because you have to, I don't think you keep the two separate, though. That was actually something I had to come to terms with I had to learn that, like, being a dad and being a professional don't have to be mutually exclusive. And you can be the same person in both. Like, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to sort of, to find out about myself, because so much of what I do is, or at least so much of what I was used to doing, was being the show, putting on the show,
Yeah,
professionally speaking. We
yeah,
talked about that early. Like, this stuff, you just have to be natural and candid and go for it. Whereas when you and I were growing up in this industry, it was a very, very different place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. I appreciate that. I mean, I actually really enjoy, everyone's talking about like AI and music
Yeah.
and whatever, what the impact will be. And I think just one of the byproducts of that, just that I've observed, like, totally anecdotally, but is people, returning to the kind of original purpose of music, which is like sharing a real experience together, humans, like
Yeah.
connecting
Something
and
visceral. Yeah.
processing and expressing and like,
Yeah.
and sharing, an emotional experience. And whether that is, I mean, I think somewhat that factor, like, that becomes a factor in, the kinds of the sounds that we're hearing, like things maybe being a little more like raw and acoustically. I feel like there's definitely a trend back in that direction of, like,
Yeah.
people playing their instruments and basically, doing things that, like, AI has a harder time doing.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there are certain kinds of music making that, or sounds, sonic palettes at least, that, will probably be more likely generated,
Yeah.
automatically in some ways. But I feel like the original intent and purpose of music is actually, it's there's going to be more of a premium on that type of shared
Yeah. I
experience,
agree.
and shared experience making the music together,
Right.
shared experience, like, among a community as you're performing, as you're listening to things. I think
Yeah.
that we'll sort of like music, I think will probably return to its initial like intent or charter maybe on some level. I don't know. I mean, this is just me. I'm like just spitballing, but
No, I agree completely because I mean the thing that I think of is like I've got this electric guitar that's an Ibanez Art Core and this Yamaha amp, and I walked into a store. I was going on tour with a buddy of mine, Lamar Williams Jr. We've done a bunch of stuff together. He's like a Southern soul kind of singer. We have similar styles, but totally different voices. And so we sound really, really cool together. He's a lot of fun to work with, just, a big brother to me. So we were going on this tour together, and I was like, God, I need that Memphis Delta guitar, electric guitar sound. And I remember thinking I want to get a hollow body or semi-hollow body because I'm really not much of an electric guitar player. I'm more of an acoustic guitar player. And so I needed something that I could really tear into the body. And so I got, especially because it was just going to be me up there, I needed something that could be really rhythmic. So anyway, I go and I play all these Guilds and Epiphones and just beautiful old 50s, 60s guitars, anywhere from 600 to a couple of grand, whatever, in Nashville used music. And so the most expensive guitars I played sounded the absolute worst to me, especially when I played them through what I would assume would be the best amps for what I was looking for. Like I knew exactly what I was in for. And so then I'm looking around and I kept avoiding this blue Ibanez because I was like, I don't want that guitar. It's blue.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna enjoy playing that. But I ended up going over and picking it up. And then I just took a look around and I was like, what's just like the cheapest little box of an amp that you have that'll still put out, 50 to 100 watts or whatever. So he shows me this Yamaha amp that's back here actually that looks like it's been waterlogged. It looks like it went through the Nashville flood, and it probably did. But I played through it and I was like, man, if that thing never cuts out, this is the sound. I was frustrated. I think I walked out of there for $350. Like I spent $400 on that, on both,
Yeah.
But again, I guess my point is, you can play through as many pedals, you can get as many emulators as you want. It's always going to sound like anybody else that's using any of those things. And if you're trying to go for somebody else's sound, great. But when you're trying to just like find something unique and interesting and you know what you're looking for, that's when you really capture those sounds that other people are trying to emulate. And AI is never going to go out looking for that next thing. It can only replicate, at least right now. Once it starts having its own ideas, then we're Terminator age. But like for now, I think we're safe, and I think music is safe. I don't think you can ever replicate the energy that well performed, manicured, and just like timeless music. The energy that can emulate, that can project is unbeatable. You can't replicate that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%, and I also love the, I mean, it's the like with your guitar and your amp, and so many of the instruments that I've always gravitated toward are not these like pristine, sheeny, like it's all the really kind of glitchy, flawed, like old, dilapidated. Like that's the stuff. Actually, we were just I mentioned this studio where we were tracking yesterday. I was tracking a song for an artist at Shelter Island in town, and Steve Adabo, the owner operator, has been there for 40 years plus. The guitarist, my friend Nick, brought his Taylor, which I kind of suspected was like going to be a little too pristine and just a little more pop than we wanted for this song. Yeah. And so I texted Steve ahead of time. I have an old Gibson here, which is darker and maybe a little closer to the tone, but like but Steve was like, I have this Guild and everyone loves it. And so Steve's like a guitar guy, and we went and we were kind of A-Bing the guitars, and that Guild just looked like one of those, I mean, it's not plenty of blemishes. It's been through hell for 50 years or whatever. He said, so he's telling us the story. We were listening to it. And I was like, what is the provenance of this of this instrument? And he was like, yeah, it was, I can't remember the mastering engineer's name now, but it was a mastering engineer at Sterling Sound where Steve used to work in the early 80s, late 70s. And he thinks that he got the guitar in like 82 or 83. And it was just sitting in this guy's basement. And he didn't, he said, I don't know what he said. He got it for 50 or $100 or something like that. And that is the guitar of all of this, he's probably a person that has 100 guitars or something, but that's the one that gets used on every record because it just has this thing. It's got this richness and this vibe, and it's like that indescribable. And those are the things that really separate. To me also, like with artists and singers and songs, it's not like they're the things that make you invested in the story and care about them. It's the humanity of it. It's the flawed parts. It's the the blemishes, the voice cracking. It's the emotion. That's where that 100%. Comes from. So it's like, and that's what artists are emoting machines, songwriters. That's what it's that part that humans share together through music, and so I think that's the part that is irreplaceable. It's like, why would I don't know if you saw, this is a whole other little side conversation for those who are probably too online, but like on Instagram, Timbaland, the producer, has been posting about this AI artist, and I've never seen such a like unison of just negative comments on a post as when he's just like, everyone's just like coming at him for this, but like it's I think that maybe perfect songs can be generated, and I know there's probably a craft and something that there's a lot of work still that would go into that, but I think that without the story and the connection, the very personal connection with whoever the artist is, the writer, the voice behind that, it's like, why, like a merely good song, perfectly produced song, perfectly executed song is not enough. It's like, why do I care about that? I care about it because of the story behind it, because of some personal connection, because of like some shared humanity ultimately, so I just think that like, I think that it's obviously a worthy pursuit to craft better and better songs and recordings and all that, but the thing that matters the most is the connection that they bring you with other humans, with that, like, that's the whole reason that anybody makes music to begin with, is as a way of sharing those things and as a way of expressing something that can't be said another way,
Well, I think I agree. And you and I come from the same school of thought and practice about our music, but I can say, and I know, and it wouldn't take you long to think of somebody that is a good example of not creating music for music's sake, but just putting out labels. Do it all the time.
Also it's like
that's why AI has any sort of a chance and place in the industry right now.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of context. Like music always has its own space and context. So it's like, sometimes sometimes like the thing that you're making is for someone to like cry in the closet with their earbuds on to, and sometimes it's for them to like spill a drink all over themselves at 4 a.m. On their birthday in Vegas, or it's like I think I do. It's very it's very connected to an experience, to a person and a place, and I think that's whatever. I mean that's all of those kinds of music have their like their purpose and their
they do
ideals, context.
Oh, well, I think at the end of the day, that point of connection that comes from music is consistent. No matter what other reasons somebody might be doing it. I mean, yeah, I've known plenty of singers and bass players and every type of musician that's just up on stage to get laid, and that's fine, you know. And some of those guys, you know, do it for a long. They got that for a long time, but at the same gals too, I'm sure. Yeah, some come to mind, but yeah, I mean, this it's not mutually exclusive. The idea of connection, that's what makes music beautiful, and is, you know, we're beating a dead horse at this point, but yeah, it's not going anywhere. And like the natural origin of music and what we're doing and what all writers and performers are doing it's crucial to humanity. All right, I'm gonna have to jump off here pretty soon, so I'm gonna try this. I've got like these 4 questions I've been asking everybody since we turned this into an interview. Which, by the way, folks,
first time listener here, so this is going to be an absolute surprise. Go ahead. Were you going to tell them the background?
All I was going to say, is like this was a completely unplanned event. We were catching up, and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to do a thing so I can record it and put it out there?" But I'm glad because you know you're someone that people should know about, and that first record that you did was great. I'm going to check out your singles, the snow boots, and all that, snowshoes.
Snowshoes,
snowshoes. And then snow boots could be
very
cool
much
too.
a side project, but I think there should be some more. I might actually work on one of those tracks, which has been lying around for years. Once again, like today. So
if you have any ambient lo-fi stuff especially after working with Roy on some things, but if you want to do your own artist, I'm managing the label now, so I would love to have you on board.
I have a ton of instrumentals just lying around. So I used to make a lot of things just for fun, just to like. And most of what I do now is specific to particular projects or whatever, but I do have stuff that I make that is, sometimes it turns into a song starter and we'll write something to it, but there's a lot of stuff that's just like lying around, so.
Yeah,
and I would love to share it, I mean, it's not all great. Like, there are some favorites and stuff.
Slow it down, loop it a few times, add a middle 8. We're good.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll show you how to put binaural beat behind it, and then we'll have Roy do a lo-fi mix. Dude, I told Roy to remix his first record, or we tossed around a couple of different of his records on the label that he could remix as lo-fi. And because of his whole experience of Mute Math and like it's just straight up his alley, 4 days later he had the entire album remixed, his whole first album that he put out. I was like, who are you?
Yeah, man.
But it's so just to, I mean, not to say that that's a testament to anything can work. I know how talented you are, and I'm sure any of those ideas could be fluffed into a few minutes of greatness for some ambient, chill, focus music.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to share any of that.
Let's do it.
I'll definitely send some your way.
Yeah, so put a little folder together and share it with me so I can check it out, and we'll follow up. Because I want to have a real phone call with you, not just this. Yeah, but this is a good start.
Matchup, though. I mean, I'm like, it's such a surprise connection when I saw you on Roy's computer in my kitchen, after 13 years after our last exchange or text. I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Reconnect. yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
I love. Right.
That's awesome. All right. Shotgun round, 4 questions. And these are kind of off the beaten path, but we've known each other for a long time, so you probably know where I'm going with these.
Okay.
Do you practice mindfulness?
Yes. For years, actually. So when my mom had cancer for like 13 years, and this was sort of early days. That's why I left Nashville in 2007. She was doing this. I guess now they would call it like an SDR, like non-sleep deep rest. It was like an autogenic. I think they called it autogenic, like a script at the time in 2007 that I recorded for her, and then I started just doing that on my own, like listening to it and doing deep relaxation. And so that actually has been a really regular practice of like the Yoga Nidra and NSDR. And then I have dabbled in, proper like meditation and mindfulness, guided meditations and things like that. That has not had, I've been less consistent with that, but I always am, you know, seeking those places and spaces, and that's always, whether it's a museum or something in town, or just being out in the woods in Maine. I mean, it's one of my favorite things, going for a hike and just sitting and like, just being is, I mean, it sounds, you know, it sounds, whatever, it sounds a little cheesy, but
well, that's only because we live in America, and if you're not constantly pursuing whatever it is you're supposed to be pursuing, you know, taking a break, sleeping, those things are frowned upon because you're not working hard enough. But I think it's so crucial and so important, and it's something that we miss, you know. Your body misses it, your mind misses it when you don't give it a break.
Well, and once again, just like exercise, like the NSDR stuff, if I stop doing that, you know, I try to do 15, 20 minutes, do one of those a day.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that for a stretch, I actually need to do it because I don't sleep well, and I don't, you know, I've always, whatever. I mean, I'm just like a restless, high energy. I mean, I seem pretty relaxed, obviously, but like, but you know, I wake up a lot of, you know, I've never been a peaceful sleeper. So I feel like those certain practices like that, like getting, you know, sunlight, you know, the morning and evening, and NSDR and stuff like that. Like, it's actually, you know, it's crucial to my well-being in a lot of ways, but sleep in particular, I notice if I'm not doing that, then you know.
Does it affect your creative process? Have you, when you're not practicing those things?
I mean, definitely in the sense that you know, I'm pretty tuned in, like in a session with an artist, for instance, if there are multiple people in the room and, you know, someone's scrolling, someone's distracted, someone's not really there, you know, like I notice that instantly. I really like to be locked in and be where I am, you know, and especially in a creative context. And so, you know, if I'm not doing those things, then I notice it in my attention, my ability to,
your ability to stay focused,
somewhere, not checking my phone, not, you know, like not, I notice it in the desire to like fill every waking moment with some kind of, you know, tapping and scrolling and all that. Like I start noticing that myself pretty quickly, I think.
It's easy to let the music or become the practice, the meditation a little bit. For me, that's kind of how I justified it. I was doing a lot more. But yeah, I have found that it does improve when I do that, just like everything else. So who's a hero for you?
I mean, it's hard to pick one. I have so many heroes. Yeah. I mean, the ones that are coming to mind, you know, just like the first ones that pop to mind are all composers, are all like classical composers. If I'm just thinking of like people that I probably, just because they're among my earliest, you know, I grew up playing classical piano. My mom was a piano teacher. I grew up listening to her play all these great Chopin and, you know, Rachmaninoff and stuff. And so my most ingrained emotional connection to music, a lot of that comes through, you know, those composers. So I mean, I would say like a Chopin or a Rachmaninoff or Scriabin, if I could like have a drink, sit down and have a drink with, or Ravel, or, you know, somebody like that. I mean, certainly also musically, you know, from a songwriting standpoint, obviously, Brian Wilson, you know, the kind of like ethos and harmonies and all that. It's also just like so in my DNA. So, you know, I mean, that's more of a whatever, that feels obvious to say someone like that, but
but
yeah, I have I have a lot of musical heroes. I guess I should have a better prepared answer for that question, but
No, I mean, I like these are kind of one side of the field to the other, because
yeah.
it's better to have like a, who is the first person that pops into your mind? I
Yeah.
mean, for me, like the very first person, and I almost avoid saying it, but the very first person I think of is Stevie Wonder,
Hmm.
because just because we
Good one.
had literally what I've figured out. These are questions
Hmm.
I've asked myself a lot of times because it's changed over the years. Bill
Hmm.
Withers would have been one of those people. Prince would have been one of those people, and
Prince,
then
Bowie.
it changes.
I
Yeah,
mean, I
Bowie,
can.
God.
Yeah, 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 totally.
But like, but yeah, if you go back to like it, I guess it's like, is it right now? You talking about right now? Or you talking about when I was
Yeah,
learning?
well,
Because
exactly. So for today, maybe
yeah, for
I've got
today,
some like
it's classical,
classical
and that's
stuff
okay.
on the brain. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, so we already kind of talked about what's next for you. So I don't know if you were able to check out the documentary. I started shooting it in 2000, when I left, 2012, I guess, and then took like 9 years to finish it. Well, 7 years, I guess. I was working on it for a few years prior to that. I was trying to get out and do something that would support homelessness and other things and have like a deeper cause. And then I was like, I can't even afford to be a person right now. So I just, when I left, started just shooting and figured out that it was kind of a documentary about a day in the life of an artist, which is really what this is all about too. So I think the question sort of carries over from that, but feeds right into this whole process. But what does success mean to you?
Success means to me, um, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I feel like I've also had that's one that obviously evolves over
Yeah,
time.
it's another hero
Um,
question.
yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, I feel like one definition is the, um, the act of continuously creating and sharing.
Yeah,
You know, I think that if you're able to, you know, center your life around that in some way, and it really is that. I mean, that's why music making in all its forms, whether you're producing or composing, or performing songs on stage, all the different things, mixing, mastering, it really is a life pursuit in that there's always something you don't know how to do. There's always a new skill you can acquire. There's always something, some way in which you can evolve. And so I just feel like, pursuing that in an intentional way and a tenacious way, because it is a choice to continue, trying to fight that good fight and
yeah,
and stay on that path. um, I think that is, that your effort to do that, whatever the outcome um, is a success. That's assuming that you are not doing that at the expense of, the relationships and people you love,
of
and
course.
your own personal, safety and well-being, and your future. But if you are able to, if you're able to kind of like stay the course and continue pursuing that and continue kind of like, being anchored to the reason that you know uh, that you started pursuing that.
Yeah,
I think that to me, that's what success looks like. And that's, a successful day to me is a day in which I spent some time, um, you know swinging the bat and trying and probably struggling and probably, you know uh, uh, trying to overcome some hurdles,
sure.
to create something, to make something.
Yeah,
And, a really good day is a day when I finish something.
yeah,
And then the great day is when that thing gets shared. But, like, I
yeah,
think that cycle of continuing to try to create something, express something, ask questions of yourself, ask questions of the world, not even necessarily seeking outcomes and answers, and just the act of pursuing that question inside yourself. yeah, in an intentional way. That's success in music, and I don't know. I think success in life. I mean, to me,
Yeah.
that those things are kind of synonymous. You know, I feel like
Yeah.
that makes you a better person in a lot of ways, and a more effective, partner, um, friend, lover. Like asking those things of yourself, examining yourself and life in those ways, and then trying to express that numinous, inexpressible things, through some creative, some creative, uh, you know, uh, release.
Yeah. Outlet. Yeah.
Long and winding answer, but
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing about it is like, if you, I think it's a good thing to not worry yourself about it. But it is one of those things to I think check in on from time to time to sort of figure out like, I mean, for me, it's like check in with your ego and check in with your empathy, be in the moment with the person in front of you. And at the same time, know where you're coming to that moment from. That's for me where it comes from. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna end this. This is great, and then we can jump off. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. There you go. Aaron is a great guy, sweet dude. Got a lot of great stuff going on. Getting into some personal stuff. I don't think it's too personal. Kind of relevant for just about anybody that's sort of living day to day, day in the life, as it were. I guess that's about it. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much again for watching.